sucker. So today I'm going to share with you the things that I've learned about investing in land. And if you're thinking about investing in land or becoming a land investor, then stick around, because the things that I'm going to share could save you thousands of dollars. I'll also be posing some different questions throughout this video. Please participate and answer any of them that you know so that we can all learn from each other. Also, before getting into this too deep, if you like learning about making money, investing in land, or anything entrepreneurial, make sure that you subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. The first thing you want to do is look at the physical location of the property. Make sure that you're looking at the right lot. Most land doesn't have a physical address because addresses are usually given when a structure is built, so you'll want to use the parcel numbers, the legal description, and online maps to make sure you're looking at the right piece of land. I once went and looked at a property, made an offer, and purchased the lot only to find out that I initially looked at the wrong lot. So yes, I bought a property from an owner, but it was an entirely different property in the same neighborhood. You don't want to run into that. So yes or no, have you ever bought the wrong property? Put that in the comments below. Secondly, you want to assess the shape and the size of the lot. Is it a weird shaped lot, such as a very long and narrow lot, or is the area very well spread out? I've sent letters based on size, and sometimes it's long and narrow. It will still be a good size. You know, it might be 5 acres, but it might be so long and narrow you can't do anything with it. So there are often easements and setback requirements in order to build something. So also don't just assume that you can build on something because you think the building will fit. It doesn't always work that way. Let me know in the comments what size properties you found to be the easiest and the hardest to sell in your area. Number 3, what's around the property? This is really important. Is it in a growing or declining area? Is there a market for land there? If you have no customers at all, then all you have is dirt. Are there other houses near it? Will people be able to get water and electric fairly easily? Is it close to development, stores, shopping, food, entertainment, etc.? If it's a lot, is the neighborhood in a good neighborhood or a bad neighborhood? Your profitability is based on the deal. So if you buy it wrong and offer too much, you lose money. If you offer too little, you may lose the deal. So everything about the area should be taken into consideration. Comment below, what's the biggest red flag about the area that a person should watch out for? Please leave that comment if you have some ideas, because we want to make sure that we are all learning from each other. Number 4, does the land have legal access? Legal access means you can legally get to the property without trespassing on someone else's land. Everyone has different ideas on this, but most land investors I know are strict about making sure there is good legal access. I know someday maybe we'll all be flying around in drones and the price of lots in the middle of nowhere with no roads will shoot through the roof. But my experience has been, right now, buying lots without legal access is easy. Selling them can be quite difficult, so I recommend not buying any land without legal access. And keep in mind, access and legal access are two different things. So if you can get to the land easily, that's what I consider partial access. If you can't get to it without going through a fence or another piece of land, that is no access. The best scenario is land that touches a street. That's almost certainly legal access. So let me know below if you agree that properties with no access should be avoided and why, or if you disagree with that, let me know that as well. Number 5, is it buildable? This isn't necessarily a deal breaker, but it depends on the deal. If it's a large piece of hunting land, buildability isn't an issue, but usually people are going to want to build something eventually. So it's best to find out what can be built on the land before you buy it, assuming you already have a contract in hand. Some lands are swampy, sometimes there may be endangered species that don't allow you to build, and sometimes there's just restrictions like no mobile homes. All these things are important because your potential buyers will want to know all about that stuff anyway. Plus, finding out before you purchase the property can save you money if you find issues, because you can renegotiate with the seller, or you can work something else out, or you can walk away from the deal if you need to. Number 6, usage restrictions. I just talked about this a little, but find out what the usage restrictions are. What can and can't be built? Is it a residential lot in the middle of a commercial zone? That would affect it. Is it a commercial lot in the middle of a residential area? That would affect it. All these things can affect how easy it is to sell and how much you can sell it for. If you've had a good or bad experience with usage restrictions, I encourage you to share that experience below. That way other people can learn from your mistakes. Number 7, is the property in a flood zone? Some flood zones and flood zone areas allow for building, but it requires the homeowner to have flood insurance. So this can affect how much you sell it for. And if you didn't know that before buying or making your offer, you could be at a potential risk of losing money. There's also certain areas near me that have low-lying swampy flood areas that they're not allowed to be built on at all, so you want to steer away from those things. If you bought any of these, swampy lands, you'd be struggling to sell them because you can't really do much with them. Number 8, what's the topography? What's the topography, if I said that right? First, you need to understand what topography is. And so what I mean by this in simple terms is, what's the elevation of the land like? Is it mostly flat? Does it rise and fall in odd ways? Is it very steep? Does it have gradual rise in elevation? All these things can affect the look, the cost, the final product of the build. The topography can also affect whether a build can be done at all. So make sure you at least take a look at the topography and make sure there's no weird stuff going on. So since tools change so much online, please ask me in the comments about the tool I use for this, and I'll point you in the direction of the one that I'm currently using. Or if you're a land flipper, please comment and just recommend any online topography tools you use that new people might want to look into or try out. Preferably free tools, because we all like free, especially when you're just getting started. Number 9, how much are annual taxes? So owning a piece of land isn't as expensive as a house or a commercial building. And guess what? Uncle Sam wants his money, and if you don't pay, you're going to lose the property. So that's going to vary from state to state. In my state, it's about 6 years before they come take the property, but you will lose it. Make sure you look the property taxes up. Make sure they're up to date. If they're not, someone's going to have to pay them before the property ownership switches hands. So if somebody owes $3,000 in taxes, they might want to sell it, but someone has to pay that $3,000. Either they have to pay it or you have to pay it as the buyer, because ownership can't switch hands until it's paid. Also, make sure how much those taxes are going to be every year. If it takes a while, if it takes multiple years to sell the property, that's going to cut into your bottom line and into your profitability. Or if you choose to hold it because you want to manipulate the capital gains tax, then that's something you want to think about as well. Number 10, what are the annual HOA dues? This is another holding item cost line item. Sorry about that. If you choose to close with a title company, which is what I recommend, they're going to request an estoppel that will tell you how much is owed to the homeowners association, how much the annual, quarterly, or monthly fees are. I like to ask the seller and then call and verify what the yearly fees are before buying in an HOA. Unfortunately, some HOAs have ridiculous fees, so if the fees are high, that can sometimes kill the deal for me. But you want to price low enough to sell quickly, or at least get in and out. When I do buy in an HOA, I try to get in and out as quick as possible, unless it's a really good, strong neighborhood with low HOA fees. Number 11, what utilities are available? This is good to know in order to help sell it easier, because potential buyers are going to want to know, can they get water? Can they get electric? Is it on sewage? Are you going to have a septic tank? All that kind of stuff. So find out that stuff. You're going to have to call the city or county to find that out. But this is stuff that you'll want to know when you sell it, so you might as well find out before you buy it, just to make sure there's no potential issues. And if the land is somewhere, out in the middle of nowhere, it's even more important to find this stuff out, because maybe you can't get electric there and someone's going to have solar electric or something like that. So you'll want to know that. So also keep in mind that all that can be done after you get an offer accepted. You don't have to do it before someone accepts an offer. You can just make your offers, and then when they're accepted, then you can go do your due diligence and do your legwork. Just make sure that you have a clause in your contract that allows you to back out without any penalty. So those are the 11 things I'd watch out for. If you're into land flipping, make sure you check out the next video about how I made over $100,000 flipping land, and I started with just $1,000. And I also link to the blog post in the description where I go step by step through this process. All you have to do is scroll down to number 5, and that is a very in-depth look at how to find land, market land, and sell land. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.